Welcome to the Rock Music Alliance interview sessions. I'm your host, Cole Coleman, along with keyboardist Claudio Pesavento, who's from Mahogany Rush and the Chris Squire Band. On our show today, you know him and his writing and recorded work with legendary artist Edgar Winter, as well as Argentinian band Arco Iris, and his touring with legendary rock band War. Welcome to our show, guitar player, writer, and solo artist James Zota Baker.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, man, thanks for coming on our show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Hey, Claudio, how you doing over there?
I'm good.
Did I say it
good?
Did I say it right? That Argentinian band. I'm not hip on my Spanish. Is it Arco Iris?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big band, guys. Check out Arco
Arcoiris
Iris.
means, you know what it means, arcoiris?
Means rainbow.
The rainbow.
Wow, isn't that something? So you're like the Argentinian rainbow.
That's right.
All right, man.
They were around before the original rainbow. I mean, they were really early 70s. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah,
I was there.
Are they still active?
Yes, actually, they are. They're, in fact, they're on tour right now in Argentina. I'm not with them because I'm touring with War, but they're playing down there now.
Ada?
Yeah, Ada and his son, Ada Jr.,
Wow.
who's a great saxophone player and composer now. And so they're down there with a band with, do you know Carlos Campos? I think he's a guitar player. And I can't remember.
Gustavo Santolaya? No.
Roberto something on bass. I can't remember his name. Great player.
What about Gustavo Santolaya?
No.
He was the original member.
Yeah, well, Gustavo, yeah, who's an Oscar-winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
Very
so that
cool.
history is deep.
Very cool. James, what is the latest news from your world? Any tours or new releases coming up?
Well, right now, the latest news is I'm sitting here talking with you guys, which is cool. And then War, we start touring again April 20th in Visalia, California. And then the following week, we go to Florida and New Orleans. We'll play the Orpheum Theater in New Orleans, which will be great. The Whalers are opening up for us. And you can go to my website, jameszotabaker.com, and go to news and shows page. And that'll show all the places that we're playing, you know, in this upcoming year.
Very cool. Is it primarily a United States tour, or does it involve North America?
Yeah, it's mostly United States so far on the calendar. You know, there's talk of Europe and Japan, but I don't know if it's going to be this year or next year. So, yeah, mostly the States right now.
Yeah, cool. Now, War is a beloved rock band, you know, fusing Latin vibes and even the soul into their overall style. And I imagine there's a lot of grooving and dancing from the people at a War show. What is it like at a War concert when you're up on stage looking out into the crowd? What do you see?
Well, you see a party, you know, because that's what it, you know, War is like it is the ultimate party band, or one of the ultimate party bands. And, you know, it's just a diverse crowd. And yeah, people are always just getting up dancing because there's so many hits. You know, the hits, just the list goes on and on. Cisco Kid and Why Can't We Be Friends and Lowrider and Spill the Wine and, you know, all those iconic songs. And yeah, so people are just always singing along. That's part of the rush. You know, they're not my tunes, but just feeling that rush on stage, you know, when you have a whole audience singing back the songs, it's just incredible. Really incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a symbiotic relationship between audience and band, which I think most people know that, you know. I mean, so sometimes you go to a concert and it really is more like a sit and watch fest. But that's why I say with a band like War, I get the impression it's much more of a crowd's going to get involved in that music.
Absolutely, yeah. And then occasionally, you know, the lead singer Lonnie Jordan will invite some people on stage to dance and all that. And so, you know, yeah, it's a cool vibe.
Yeah, that's pretty hip. I know, like in most concerts I've ever seen, I mean, that's a forbidden thing, you know, but wow, pulling people up on stage, that's cool.
Yeah.
Only girls.
Only girls.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was a musician all my life, you know, pretty much, played mostly, bars, nightclubs, casinos, that kind of thing. So I played a lot of these songs, you know, we did the Lowrider and Spill the Wine, Cisco Kid.
Yeah.
And we even dabbled a little bit with Why Can't We Be Friends, you know, but Lowrider and Spill the Wine, the people just go off, you know, it's amazing. Yeah, we had a drummer who sang, and he had a little rig that he made, timbales, and he had a mic stand and timbales, and he would grab that and run out to the front of the stage and start playing, and the rest of the band would come in. So he had a harmonica,
Okay.
harmonica rig around his neck, the microphone to sing, and his timbales. Yeah, quite a talented guy.
Got the war sound dialed in, man. That's pretty cool.
It worked really great. And then at some point in the song, I kind of forget where, but he would run back behind the kit and then lay into the beat, and it was a good time. That was at Riverside Casino in Laughlin. Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah. Now this is your second tour of duty with War. I see you were there first in 1998 to 2002.
Yeah.
How did you first get the gig with War, and why leave them in 2002?
Well, the way I got the gig was through a guy named Scott Borden, who ran a studio called Cornerstone, which is in Chatsworth. Yeah, remember that place?
Yeah,
and,
that's where I met Jean-Michel.
That's where you met Jean-Michel, right? I used to do a lot of work with Jean-Michel there. We would record there, and so actually a year before I got the gig, I went in and just to say hello to Scott Borden. We were going to have lunch. And War was in there mixing something, and I handed the engineer, Chris Huston, a demo tape of mine. Said, if you guys ever need a guitar player, let me know. But that's not the way it worked out. It was about a year later. My friend Scott Borden called me and said that War was auditioning. And so, I went down and auditioned. It's kind of a long story, but I went down and auditioned, and, was fortunate enough to get the gig. And that was in 1998, and toured extensively with them till 2002. And I'd like to say that I got the gig with Sting, and that's why I had to leave, but that's not what happened. Just personal differences. I was growing in a different direction. I really wanted my songwriting career to take off. I really appreciated being a sideman, but I wanted my songwriting career to take off, and wanted to stretch out and do other things. And so it just wasn't vibing right. I was younger. I didn't realize I could do both, and keep both gigs. And so, we parted ways, but we remained friends. And Lonnie Jordan has played on both of my solo records. Sal Rodriguez, the drummer, has played on my first solo record. And so we would always, hang out and remain friends. And I think it was around 2017, I was asked to fill in. And I went to Japan. Actually, it was the day before. They were going to Japan. I got a call, and they asked if I could fill in. I said, yeah, where? Japan. Okay. So I was up all night relearning those tunes after all those years. And then I just started filling in, from time to time, every year or every other year. And then at the top of 2023, I was January 2nd, 2023, I was asked to rejoin full time again. So, now I'm back in and having a great time, different perspective, and, just enjoying being on the road, and, great musicians in the band. Scott Martin on sax, and Rene Camacho on bass, Sal Rodriguez on drums, Marcos Reyes on percussion, and Mitch Kashmar on harmonica, and then, of course, the legendary Lonnie Jordan on lead vocals and keyboards, who co-wrote all those tunes and produced all those tunes.
Yeah, man, that's great. And that's really a great point and lesson for anybody listening. It's like, keep things on a good relationship level, with the bands out there. There's no need to burn bridges,
Well, yeah, that's it. That's it's a great point. It took me a little longer than some other guys to figure that out, because, I had a lot of stars in my eyes and wanting to be famous. And so you go about things differently in your life. But, when you get older, and if you're lucky, you get a kind of a second chance in your life to have a different perspective and appreciate things. It's really also getting into gratitude about, because not everybody gets those chances. And then just staying grateful for everything. I I play with a great band in town, Party Jones. I do things with my wife, the Star Travelers. Just keep playing and writing and trying to have the best relationships with everybody that you can.
What kind of stuff are you doing with Star Travelers?
Star Travelers is a cover band. We sometimes we do it as a band, sometimes as a duo. We go out and, just play the usual fare,
Right.
tunes. And same with Party Jones. I also have a fusion band. Right now it's called the JZB Band, but we go out and play, Jeff Beck and Pat Metheny and Jimi Hendrix and, tunes like that. And then occasional new tunes, instrumentals that I have, or songs from my two solo albums where they're vocal albums. So I'll play songs from there as well.
Right. Well, don't forget about the Lighthouse Cafe. We were chatting about the Lighthouse earlier. That's
right.
a great place for all kinds of music. All styles play there. Yeah. What amazes me about musicians too is up in Hollywood, you probably heard, there's the Ultimate Jam Night at the Whiskey, and it just blows my mind that a lot of the players up there, well, most of the players, they're all pro players on tours, but it's like, man, they're touring for months at a time with bands, and what do they do when they come to town? Go jam at the Ultimate Jam. It's like take a break.
It's a schmooze fest. That's what's happening up there. They want to play and they love playing, but this is a people business. You know what I mean? You have to be out there. You have to be mingling with other people. I'm not always the greatest at that, to be honest with you. I get in my modes where I'm good at it, but other people are, that's part of their whole thing. It's not just being a great guitar player or bass player.
It's called ADD.
Yeah.
Talk about one of the big networkers. Believe me, Claudio is very great at it, which is one reason he's helping at the Rock Music Alliance with A&R. That's why he's head of A&R.
I go to the Whiskey all the time and always see the same people all needy for attention.
There's so many
they ask me, "Are you gonna play tonight?" I say, "No." I don't have to play once. I didn't drive here just to play one song.
A lot of
it takes me more than one song to warm up.
There's a few great clubs. There's the Whiskey, of course, but it's always great to drop in if you can at the Viper Room while it's still there, and it's in the Bourbon Room is another good venue right now.
I want to tell you something about that. Ultimate Jam is supposed to be a jam.
Yeah.
You have your solos.
Right.
You go there, you have to play the song like the album, play the parts. So every time Chuck called me and say, "Hey, can you play on this?" I say, "Sure," but then I listen to the song and it's like I just like the chord changes. It's not really much excitement for me to play. So then I go there. The keyboard player had the wrong sounds. The one that programmed the sounds for the people to go on stage, because you don't have time. You just have to go in and out. So sometimes it's just weird because it's mostly those jams it's all about guitars basically. It's not like a really
guitar and vocals for sure.
But, I'm talking about when it comes to the band.
Yeah.
So
it's tough on keyboard players for that. Yeah.
I like to play something that's gonna make me feel challenged. That I can do something. But
sure. No, I totally get it. Yeah.
I have fun when I play. It's good to be on stage and play live with people that you never played before and just meet on stage. That's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other great place to network is at the Rainbow. We hear a lot about that.
Yeah, there's the Rainbow. There's the Whiskey, the Viper Room, and stuff. I've played
the Roxy and
I played all those places in the past. I haven't really gone to any of the jam sessions. I think the last jam session I went to was at the Baked Potato in North Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
And
Mondays, right?
It was the reason why I don't go to them, because the guy that was jamming with me decided to play some wrong chords during my solo to make me look like you know what. And and so I'm just sitting there.
Sounds like Hollywood.
The new me is, I just took a deep breath and walked out. It wasn't the old me, would have said something, but I just, I took a deep breath and took my lumps and drove home and went, that's why I don't go jam with these cats, because that's, You don't want to be thrown under the bus when you're
Paul,
you know.
Paul, I met James in 2002 at his house. Jean-Michel Byron, he used to be in Toto, the singer. He was in one album, and then he took me to his house, and then I met him again like 2 years ago here at my place with Brian Chatton.
Yeah. Yeah, with Brian. Yeah,
he records some guitars. I say I know this guy, but I couldn't figure out from where. Then I saw some photos on my computer with Jean-Michel. Oh yeah, that's him. And then that's it.
Oh, I didn't see that. Those photos sometimes, man. I want to see those.
That's the story.
Now, Jean-Michel, I'm hearing Jean-Michel, and I'm used to hearing Jean-Michel Jarre.
Byron.
But it's Byron, okay.
Jean-Michel Byron, yeah. He
Byron, okay.
For Toto for a while. He was he co-wrote 4 songs on the Past and Present album, and then he went on tour with them. And then when he was out of Toto, we met each other backstage at a Toto concert, actually. And just to tell you the quick story, I went to see Toto in Pasadena, and it was Jean-Michel on lead vocals. And I went to the party afterwards, and there was a bunch of people there, all the Toto members and Wilson Phillips and, a whole bunch of Van Halen, Eddie and Alex. And so I went up to Jean-Michel and I said, hey, I was very young, but I just said, hey, I really love your voice. I'd love to work with you sometime. And he said, well, play me something right now. So right in front of all these people, that's very Jean-Michel, right, Claudio? So he, in front of Van Halen and all these people, I went over to the piano and played him a song. And he liked it. He said, oh, this is great. Let's hook up sometime. And you think, yeah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And about 6 months later, he called me. And then I joined his band, his first band that, we started playing live around town all the time. And it was with Marco Mendoza on bass, and Joey Heredia on drums, a guy named Atmaro Ruiz on keyboards, and it was just a stellar band. They
play at La Vallée, right?
Pardon me?
They play at the jazz place in Ventura Boulevard, La Vallée, I think.
Yeah, La Vallée, and also there was a place called Prezo, and it was kind of the in place at the time. Yeah,
I met him when I was recording with Dawkins at the Cornerstone. I was recording at the Cornerstone, and Jean-Michel have a studio in the next room. So I met him there like it was like 2002. And then,
oh, that's cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that's how I met you. Yeah, Cornerstone was a really great studio. It was the Jazzware, I think, right? It was Jazzware?
Exactly right, yeah.
They have the guys from Stevie Nicks, what's his name?
Lindsey Buckingham was there.
Yeah, there are a lot of people recorded there, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cool,
Motley Crue did Dr. Feelgood, and, a whole bunch of great tunes have been recorded there, yeah.
That's a good studio.
So, James, in between your tours of duty with War, I see in 2008, you started working with Edgar Winter and co-writing and recording guitar on the CD Rebel Road. How did that come about? Like, how did you meet up with Edgar? And tell us that.
Well, that probably started around 2005, I want to say, the beginning of that record. I was working with a producer-writer named Kurt Cuomo, who had written for Kiss. He wrote several of the tunes on Psycho Circus and all that. And so I was starting to do studio work with him. And one day he just asked me, over lunch, he said, would you like to work on an Edgar Winter record? Because he had co-written one song with Edgar on a previous record. I think it's Winter Blues. And he said, but they want more riffs and more rock-oriented type of tunes. And would you want to do something like that? And, of course, hello, yes. I didn't beat around the bush. Yeah, that would be great. So we got a set of lyrics from Edgar called Rockin' the Blues. And he said, this is the song that he wants his brother Johnny to play on. And so he said, come up, with a riff or something, to start this tune. And so I came up with the riff that's on, the main riff and chorus that's on the Rock and the Blues that's on the Rebel Road record. And that was our first meeting. So Kurt and I drove to Beverly Hills to meet with Edgar, and he, said, "Okay, play me what you got." And so I started playing the guitar and humming him the idea for the melody and all that. And he just spun around and smiled and said, "Yeah, that's it, man. That's right." And
he said, "Yeah, I know."
There you go. There you go. That's it.
That's great, man. That's great. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. Attention guitar players, join the Thimble Slide revolution and free your slide finger. The Thimble Slide is a mini guitar slide designed to be worn on the tip of your finger, about 3/4 the way down your fingernail. When worn there, you can still bend your finger, and most importantly, it's allowing enough of your fingertip through so you can press the guitar strings. The Thimble Slide is larger at the back and smaller at the front, so it follows the contour of your finger. So when you're wearing the slide, it's not loose or rattling around on your fingertip. This also allows your other fingertips in nice and close for playing. The sizing gap allows you to make the slide a little bit larger or a little bit smaller for a nice custom fit. So while you're wearing a Thimble Slide, you can, of course, use it as a slide. But more importantly, it allows you to still fret the strings so you can play the guitar. You can play chords. You can play lines while wearing it. You can bend strings with your ring finger. You can drag your fingertip across the strings if you need to. You can do pull-offs, hammer-ons. So there you go. You can actually still really do all the things you need to do to keep playing guitars like that. With its patented shape, you can slide and fret while wearing the Thimble Slide. Visit thimbleslide.com. That's thimbleslide.com. So did you get to meet Johnny?
And I met Johnny. We, as the record progressed, and we got down the basic tracks, and myself and Doug Rappaport, who's a killer guitar player, Edgar's guitar player, we laid down all the rhythm tracks, for, I would say 9 of the tunes. And of the 11 tunes, and then it was time for overdub sessions. So we had Slash and Clint Black and a bunch of other people, and then Johnny happened to be in town. He was playing at the Canyon Club, the Canyon Agura, and when he was done, he was going to swing by the studio, and it was almost like a cartoon, because they had a van come up and they opened it up, and he comes spilling out and into the studio, and I show him a little bit of what the tune is. He's not going to play the riff at this point. He's going to solo on it, but just to get an idea of what it's like. So we're playing little guitar together. And then when they hit the record button, his amp, you just see fire and smoke come up from his amp.
Wow.
And so he ended up plugging into my Rivera, which was there. And he played great. He played, the way Johnny Winter plays. And it was just fantastic just to be a part of that, a little bit of a fly on the wall.
Great.
It was really cool.
I was lucky when I was playing Mahogany Rush. I met so many great guitar players like Johnny Winter, Rick Derringer, Steve Ray Vaughan, you name it. So,
right.
Very nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I had some amazing ones, playing with Frank Marino, it's just what a killer guitar player, man. And that's part of the fun of the biz, right? I mean, it's just, it's
especially playing live is
part of it, playing, with these acts, and, and then the sort of the 14-year-old, 16-year-old, and you get to meet your heroes sometimes, which is really cool most of the time. most of the time they're cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had the editor of Music Connection magazine tell me once, because I was doing some interviews, and I got to interview a few people that I told him, hey, these guys are like my heroes. It's going to be great to interview them. And he goes, sometimes you have to think about that, Cole. It's like, maybe you don't want to meet your heroes, because sometimes your bubble's going to get burst. Find out that they're just people, just like everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you mentioned on Rebel Road, there's some impressive guest musicians. I heard you say Slash. So Rebel Road, who's all on that album?
Well, yeah. I mean, the main characters obviously are Edgar Winter, Slash, Johnny Winter, and Clint Black was another one, who's a friend of Edgar. There's also Abe Laboriel Jr., the drummer.
Yeah.
On there, Matt Logg, who's now playing with AC/DC and played with Alanis Morissette and all that.
Yeah, Matt Logg, yeah.
Yeah, Matt's playing drums.
He played with the guy from Tom Petty band. What's his name? I forgot.
Yeah, he was with Mike Campbell and the Dirty Knobs for a long time, and then he got the call to do the AC/DC thing, and that's kind of a hard one to turn down. So, and who else is on that record? Like I said, Doug Rappaport, just an amazing guitar player.
Yeah, long list of stuff. People go check out all the guest musicians in that record. It's pretty cool. Yeah, and after that, you did your own solo music as well. A couple of releases out there. I see 2 album releases.
Yeah.
And, what style of music are you doing? Are they the same style in both, or are you changing? And did in working with Edgar Winter, was there any influence from them in your music?
No, unfortunately, no. I wish, maybe it'd be more popular.
Oh, James.
I think because I'm a I'm a tried and true, besides the Beatles, Toto fan. So I think that kind of comes out. I don't have the high voice, unfortunately, to soar above the music tracks and everything like that. But no, there's some cross-pollination in the sense that I'm about humanity and about bettering this earth. With my lyrics, if you really get into them, if you start listening, to the lyrics and everything like that, it's always about self-improvement, self-reflection, and then self-improvement, and and then trying to better ourselves as human beings on this planet. My perspective.
It's like healing.
Like who?
Healing.
Healing, I think you're saying. Like healing.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's like
music can heal or can do
James, any guest players on that on your releases?
Well, there's Lonnie Jordan from War is on both records, and then Jimmy Haslip, the great bass player from the Yellow Jackets, is playing on there. Sal Rodriguez from War, Bernard Fowler is singing background on both records, and my wife Amanda Haley, who's just an amazing singer, is singing backgrounds with Bernard as well on some of the tunes, and Joshua Seth Egan is just a great studio drummer, and has played with Pink and a bunch of people, and he's on both records. I love his drumming, and both of those were done at the Steakhouse Studios. With my friend Lee Bench engineered them and owns the studio, and Steve Lukather's name is associated with that studio a lot because he named it and was a part of it for a long time.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I see in your bio that you're an educated player.
Yes.
So I wanted to. Yeah.
Unfortunately, just enough to hurt myself, not enough to be an A-list studio cat and not dumb enough to be a rock star. But so anyway, it's all
exactly. Well, if you would, take us back in time briefly and just tell us, what inspired you to get into music, and why guitar, and who did you study with?
Well, the first thing with guitar was my brother. He's 8 years older than me, and he just had, to me, just great taste in music. The Beatles, Stones, Hendrix, Jeff Beck, and then he started learning guitar, and I just, I noticed it, and I just thought, this is really cool. I mean, I just love the fact that he could, in a couple of months, start playing songs that we would hear on the radio. And I thought that was pretty cool. And then I had one incident where I brought some friends home from school and wanted my brother to play for them. And so, he played for them and he made a few mistakes. He's just a beginning guitar player. And when they left, I said, "Hey, Dan, you're kind of embarrassing me. You made some mistakes there." And he laughed and he says, "Well, why don't you try it? It's not that easy." And I said, "Okay, I will." And so here I am. He was kind enough to take a nylon string guitar and have it. I'm left-handed, so he had it restrung for me. And one week when I was sick from school, I was home. I just had a guitar book with chords and started, learning the chord shapes, and it came real easy for me for some reason. Just playing the chord shapes. And then I took lessons at Santa Monica School of Music for a minute with a guy, Tommy Franco, who started showing me a little bit more. And then in high school, I was in the jazz band, and there was a performance there with Toshiko Akiyoshi Big Band, and a guitar player named Jeff Richmond, great jazz fusion guitar player, was playing with him. And I just loved the way he played, so I talked to him about getting lessons. And so he lived on Bay Street in Santa Monica at the time. So I would drive down there and take lessons. And he was a trained guitar player from Berkeley. So, he would start teaching me how to transcribe solos from Chet Baker and things like that. And, more expensive chord voicings. And, some people call them adult chord voicings, expensive ones. And so I kept going. And then I went to Santa Monica College and kept, for a year, I was in the jazz band there and took 4-part writing and all that. And I just thought, this is what I want to do. And so I decided to go to MI, Guitar Institute of Technology. And there was just GIT, BIT, and PIT back then. That was in '84. I graduated in '85.
They were just starting really back then.
Yeah. And so I had amazing teachers. I had Scott Henderson, and Robin Ford, and Joe Diorio, Don Mock. There's so many great musicians, you know what I mean? And Frank Mbali was another one. He was the only one that made me cry, because I was in a not a one-on-one, but you would go into a room and you would take turns reading the real book, jazz charts with him. And, he was sitting there flying, doing his sweep picking and everything like that, going, come on, mate. And I'm like, do-ba-do-be-dee-ba-da, kind of got defeated a little bit there for a minute. But just all of that started to assimilate. And Robin Ford told me one time, he just said, it's not going to all happen right now. All this information isn't just going to just go into your playing and then pop out. Over time in different playing situations, whether playing live or studio work or, those kind of things, it's going to, start to trickle in and become part of your playing.
Yeah, but what happened is that when they were recording the Live Aid, that video, We Are the War.
Yeah.
And what was the engineer? Was Dave Foster, or who was the one? The engineer?
No, I think it was Humberto Gatica.
No, it was the producer. Sorry. So they told Neil Young that he was singing his pitchy, and he told them, "That's my style." And when they asked me when I played the wrong notes, I told them, "That's my style."
Yeah, that's good. That's my style, man.
I should have told Frank Mbali that, right? That's just my style, Frank.
That was supposed to be a fusion. You play the Japanese note here.
Oh, well, now that I know that you can just BS and play anything, I would have done that back then.
No, sometimes, when you take chances, you can, if you're jamming, you're gonna play the wrong note eventually. But
that's great.
But there are no wrong notes, right?
No.
Yeah, it's like one time I was walking by.
The feeling.
I was walking by the Lighthouse Cafe, and I believe it was a band's poster, caught my eye. Who's playing this Sunday night at the cafe is Cult of the Wrong Note.
Cult of the Wrong Note.
Cult of the Wrong Note.
Oh,
And
that's a great.
and I got it. I was like, oh my God, that's so brilliant. And I love Lavis. Like that explains everything. Like that name just tells you exactly who's going to be playing there that night. In jazz, it's going to be a jazz show.
See, that was the problem with MIDI. MIDI, when you play MIDI with the keyboards, even if you barely touch a note, it records the MIDI. So when you listen back, see, what is that? And it's just because it records everything that you play. Even if you don't press hard, you don't have to press hard on the keyboard, but it records the note. So when you listen back, you see, what is that note in there? It's because it records everything.
Well, thank goodness for Logic, and you can go in and just erase that one note.
If you play like a regular keyboard, it won't record those notes.
Right. Yeah. Your fingers kind of tapping those.
If you go analog, like you do like a regular keyboard, you don't have that problem.
Right. So starting your second tour of duty with War, how did that happen again? You were filling in?
Basically just over, I was subbing over the years, and they they went in a different direction and called me, a year ago, January in 2023, and asked me to come back full time, and it's just been great. Again, I love that music. I've been a fan of War since I was about 16. I had a friend of mine, Vance, a drummer, he borrowed his mom's big white Cadillac, and it had a 8-track in there. And he picked me up one day and said, "You got to check out this band." And he popped in War. And, at the time, it kind of scared me. It sounded so street and heavy and cool, and I'm just this little white Santa Monica, like, oh my, But I picked up on the funk, I love funk guitar and just the grooves, again, they were kind of really one of the first ones around, so War and Santana, getting more of that world sound going on in there, like with the Latin beats and then R&B.
Herbie Hancock.
Pardon me?
Herbie Hancock had all those funk albums,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, rhythm, like a...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so...
Paul Jackson.
Yeah. So that's, that my love for the band goes way back. So being in it, that's when it happened again. It was last year, and now we've been on the road, just having a great time, and more tour dates are coming up. And like I said, like we talked about at the beginning, just how are the War fans, talking, with the party atmosphere and everything like that. It really, it's reciprocal, because you're playing these tunes for them that they love, but they're giving all this energy back, to the stage, and it really lifts you up. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's really a great way to be living. I mean, but being a musician, playing music is great. There is work, but the positive aspect of it all for anybody in any band is that affirming energy. It's high energy. It's going out there. The crowd's picking it up. It's coming back to you. It's so it lifts everybody up. It's great.
Yeah, it's and we've done. We just got off. A lot of people are doing those cruises now, it's those rock cruises.
Oh, yeah.
And so we just got off our second one. It was the Rock and Romance cruise. And we were on there with Foreigner and Pablo Cruz and other bands. And, so it was great. That's the other great thing about touring. And, you have a moment like that where I can stop and be a fan too. And go watch Foreigner and Bruce Watson, I know the guitar player in Foreigner, and Larry Antonino and Sergio Gonzalez and Pablo Cruz. So you get to run into guys that you don't see all the time, but now you're together on the road, and like a NAMM show, right? When you haven't seen certain guys for a while, and you get to catch up in a different way. It's fantastic, man.
You go to the NAMM show, the last one?
I didn't go to the NAMM show this last one. I just sort of had, I've done it so many times, and I really should have gone because I have an endorsement with Ernie Ball, and I reached the burnout level with NAMM this year.
Next time you come to see us.
Oh yeah.
We usually have a booth there. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, I will definitely be at the next one. This was just my hall pass, my year off, and then I'll make
too much.
Yeah, I'll make the trek next year and go a couple of days for sure.
Yeah, drop by, say hello.
Well, of course, yeah, the Rock Music Alliance booth, and of course, I'll
Also,
hang.
Timbals Live.
Yeah, I usually have the thimble slide booth is what you'll see. Like right now, it's a like a 10 by 10 booth with a big wall and back says thimble slide, but I'm sharing it with the Rock Music Alliance. So we set up a little desk for the Rock Music Alliance. We will have a Rock Music Alliance booth at some point. I've already got plans for that, but it looks like it's probably going to be yet another year, like maybe in 2026.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, then I'll come by and check out the thimble slide for sure.
Yeah, that'd be a great time. Combine. I'll show it all to you. You can try one on and try it out.
I'm a lefty, but I mean, I can play it upside down. I still know the strings.
Yeah. I got to mention it. Like I see bands like War, who have been around a long time, and they've kind of become, I guess, institution, or they're becoming, they're regulars to the industry. But I'm amazed at sometimes, why they're not putting out any new music, or not much in the way of new music. So I'm wondering, a few new songs from War would be really fantastic. And I'm just wondering, any chance of any new songwriting going on, and could you be a part of it with the way that War is politically structured?
They're always working on something. Right now I've been asked to come in the studio a couple of times, to play some guitar and some new tunes. They sound great. I'm not a songwriter on them. I would love to be, at some point, writing tunes with Lonnie again and those guys. But I'm just happy to hang in the guitar chair and lay down some tracks, and we'll see what happens. I mean, hopefully they'll see the light of day. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, it really would. I mean, it'd be great to see, like I say, a few new songs, and maybe even you guys would gain a fresh hit from War. That would be great.
Yeah. I mean, I'm rooting for it. I'm just just hanging back, and I've just sort of answered the call when I'm called. That kind of thing.
I gotcha. Well, that brings us to the end of our time, guys. I want to say good luck, James, on your second tour of duty with War, and have a good time out there on the road. For anybody listening, you can keep in touch with James, of course, at jameszotabaker.com, and of course on social media. James, thanks for being our guest today on the Rock Music Alliance interview sessions, and ciao.
Hey, peace, man. Thanks for having me. Great to see you, Claudio. Cheers, you guys.
I'm Cole Coleman, and for Claudio Pesavento, the Rock Music Alliance, and the RMA Awards, thanks for watching and listening. Visit us at rockmusicalliance.com and check out this year's RMA Awards for rock, metal, and progressive rock music.